Good evening, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of My Candid Conversations. Today, joining me in talking about discovering your purpose and walk in your calling are Ralph, Sam, and Ankit. I have the pleasure of introducing to you three lovely human beings who are currently doing what they love. And let's hear a little bit more about them. Ralph Sunil Chandran is a very old and dear friend of mine. He's a group head of facility management services with the GMR Group and is currently based in Delhi. Ralph is an alumnus of the IHM Madras and is a people's person. He truly enjoys everything he does and he loves to keep life uncomplicated. His passion of being in service to people is evident in his professional journey, mostly in hospitality-related organizations. He's done multiple things. He's been a chef. He's been with the corporate house, the SR Group, where I've had the pleasure of working with him. He's worked with Prasad IMAX in Hyderabad and started India's first entertainment city zone. We'll hear a little bit about him. CSR projects and the township management of Surat. He's led it as a CEO. He's worked for hospitals, education, events, and facility management, all these in various roles as a leader. He loves traveling and exploring new places and is currently based out of NCR with the GMR Group. He's a very successful administrator with an instinct and compassion. Ralph can blend in with everyone, right from the chairman to probably the usher boy, with much ease. He delivers outcomes that are positively impacting people's lives. And that, for you, ladies and gentlemen, is Ralph's purpose in life, to impact people and give them happiness. Welcome, Ralph. Sam Amalsadvala, founder and chief fun officer of Canny Inc. Thank you, Sam, for joining us all the way from Montreal. You know it's very early in the morning there. Sam was on a hike with his dogs, and he's just got back late last night. Thank you so much. He's also an alumnus of HAP Sophia College. He has toured the world as a chef on cruise liners. He's worked in many restaurants in Canada, but he found his love in animals and he decided to change course. He felt it was much better and he was much more happier studying about dogs and animals rather than studying about catching up with food. Sam has volunteered with the SPCA and he continues to do so till date. He's done his animal behavioral studies level 1 and 2. He started off by doing a dog walking business. Not just satisfied with that, he attended zoo conferences in Toronto, Dallas, Columbus Zoo, Park Safari to get better educated. Had the pandemic not set in, he would have right now been in South Africa on a long-term animal welfare camp. Dog walking, consultation with dog training, puppy socialization, care for cats, birds, plants, training new professional dog walkers is what he and his company do. He desires to help conservation eventually for a better world for animals and humans. See the fun that he has? He wears a tie and probably a suit and jumps around ice and mountains. He licks water from rivers and teaches dogs how to do that. We're going to have some fun with him. Thank you, Sam, for doing this. Welcome. Ankit Nanavati. He's an Associate Vice President, Communications and Marketing with a leading multinational bank. After a short stint with hotels, Ankit moved to join his family business in financial services and made a final turn in the corporate world in marketing and communication. His zest and ability to connect with people, forging relationships, and helping people stay on made him make this switch. His passion for food and words led him to blog under a name, the F&B Project, till his work commitment got better of his time. To nurture his love for words, he now microblogs on Instagram with a handle called What a Thought. Please follow him, read what he scribbles and writes. They're very thought-provoking and very interesting. The power of strategic storytelling, influencing and inspiring people towards a common purpose, makes him love what he does. His life lesson is, in his own words, when you're being strongly pushed towards something, don't resist it. It's only taking you someplace better. I have yet to come across more positive people than these three people. There's a reason why I've chosen them to discuss about purpose. Each of them have meandered their lives from various industries, various organizations, and finally are doing what they love and they're enjoying. You'll see it in the conversation, you'll see it on their faces. Thank you, Ankit, for joining me this evening. Whilst I have your attention, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the last week of season 2. Thursday 24th, 5 p.m., I'm having a session with super women who are giving back selflessly. Joining me are Dr. Ketna, Sherry, and Urvi Mehta, who joins us from Texas in the US. That's on Thursday, the 24th. Take a snapshot, the link is there. I'll be happy if you register. And the season finale of season 2, I'm going to speak on power of sales, balancing emotions and the dilemma of metrics with Mahima, Sana, and Inam. Don't miss this. It's going to be a rocker of a finale, even if I say so. With this, I'm going to stop the screen share and request my panelists to come alive so we can start the conversation. Hello, Ankit, and hello, Ralph, and hello, Sam.
Good morning. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Satyan. So nice to see you and have you back.
Pleasure. Okay, so quick opening statements. Ankit, let's start with you. About yourself, your journey, and what you're doing. And you know, I have lots of questions to ask you, so to all of you. So try and don't answer everything. Otherwise, you'll have to find for some more answers. But a quick snapshot, opening statements, so the audience can see you guys and hear you. Ankit, Ralph, and Sam in that order.
Sure. Thanks, Satyan. Thanks for having me. I think, Satyan, that was beautifully summarized. I probably don't think I've had a better introduction, and much of it was said there. But there's one thing which I often tell my friends and family, that if talking to yourself makes you look like an idiot, not listening to yourself definitely makes you one. And that's exactly how I'd like to summarize my journey. I've always tried to experiment with what I think I'd like to do. Some hits, a few misses, but doesn't matter, because that's exactly what has kind of got me to a point I've got here. Had I taken a different turn, a different route, I potentially would have been elsewhere. So, you know, from wanting to be an performing artist at 14, wanting to be an event manager at 18, wanting to be a hotelier at 21, and then eventually, you know, figuring out that it is communication that gets me most excited about waking up every morning. That's been a bit of my journey, but I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankit. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to get Sam in before his cat disappears. So Sam, go live and let people see your lovely cat as well. And then I'll come to Ralph last.
Thank you. Cat's name is Bull. So pretty much the introduction was very nice. Thank you, Satyam. And thank you to the audience for listening to us. Same thing, I think I changed my career to just do what I felt I have to do. So it's just discovering myself, and then it's giving back to the community, which makes me happy. And for me, I discovered that I want to communicate with animals, and that's what I'm doing yet. So that's good.
Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Ralph, all yours.
So nice to be on this panel to share my views with all of you. It's been a great journey for me. I don't know how I should describe myself, but I should say a master of all trades. When I left school, I didn't know where I was going to, and this thought of going to the hotel management school came up. And then I discovered the course in hotel management actually takes you to anything and everything in the world. Literally. I have traveled the world doing events, different parts of Africa, Italy, Canada. I have been part of the township management for a long time and created one of the best townships in India and the country. I was a chef for a few years. I was a faculty for a few years. Now I'm almost a professional horticulturist. I opened India's first entertainment mall in Hyderabad. So it's been a whirlwind of things. And what I wanted to do in every assignment of mine was to serve myself, be happy. So if I was at the mall in Hyderabad, I used to go to seats, and if a child had dropped the popcorn off the seat, I would ensure that he or she, a child, will get a new popcorn without cost. If there was an elderly couple who came, I would usher them into the seat and take them back when they go back to their car. If there was a person who lost the ticket, I would make sure if it's genuine, give them a seat somewhere in the audience. For example, so in the township, we had a lot of fun, a lot of activity, probably the most hyper township in the country. So the role that each one of us plays, and especially what I played, was to bring smiles on people's faces, smiles on every stakeholder, from the junior most person to the highest level, so that we are able to get that sense of satisfaction and give back whatever we earn. So I'm keeping everything alive. Like I'll tell you one small incident. I used to teach women, 100 women, cookery sessions in the township. I know something if you remember, 100 women. And for 1 month, it used to be smiles from the wives, but the husbands used to curse me because they used to do stuff that they learned from me repeatedly for a month. So it was a lot of fun. So small to big, giving back to the society, bringing smiles through every action that you do is something that I love doing, and I keep it going. And every hour, at least, there is somebody smiling on account of what I do. That's in short about me. We'll speak more as we go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you. So before I move ahead, welcome to all the audience, the old and the new. Some of you who joined in new, you have a raise your hand button. When you raise your hand, it means you are saying hi. Hit this hello, Shatish hi, Jamshed hello, and Harsh hi, and everyone else who's raising their hands, we're waving back at you. Thank you. You have a Q&A button in front of you where you can pop in your questions. I will take them up from time to time with the panelists, and feel free to write in. It's restricted to our view, so the other audiences can't see, so don't hassle about that. And I will take up your comments and questions in between. So when I started this today's topic, okay, which was discovering your purpose, I had a lot of people writing to me and saying, what kind of a topic is this? What is discovering your purpose? And then walk in your calling. So these are a lot of people whom I knew and some who I did not. So I wanted that, and I'm glad that a few of them had the courage and the guts to ask, what is this all about? So for the normal layman, we don't come across this word purpose very often. It's a corporate term. Corporates have purpose. Suddenly, in the last decade or so, everyone has a purpose. Every corporate has chosen to have a purpose. But it's not a new concept. It's an extremely old concept, started with human beings first. The French call it raison d'être, and the Japanese call it ikigai, which is the reason of your living. It's a personal concept. And if some of you who are psychology students, you know that there is the golden circle. Okay, there is the what, there's the how, and then the right inside is the why. So why am I doing what I'm doing? Once you answer that, you get your purpose. A lot of us don't understand that. A lot of us, I'll give you a small example. Teachers, doctors, their purpose in life is to teach and to serve. They don't even understand that that's their purpose. That's where they get happiness from. But once you get that happiness, you don't want to get away from that. And hence, I've chosen these three lovely people. Ankit, are you there? Have we lost you? I hope you're able to hear me, Ankit. Okay, so I'll move ahead. Probably he'll come back. So that's what this whole topic is about. So Ankit's purpose in life is communications. He realized that pretty much very early. He wants to write, he wants to communicate, and he's doing that both in his personal and professional capacity. Sam realized his love for animals is his purpose. And not only just that, but also getting into conservation of, eventual conservation of not just dogs and cats, but more. And Ralph's purpose, as I have known him for so many years, has not essentially been hospitality, but his purpose has been to spread happiness and give happiness to people in whatever he's done and whatever he keeps doing. And we'll hear a lot more about that. Great. So till Okay, let me just check. Ankit, are you there, buddy?
Hi, Satyan. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a network issue.
Okay. Okay, so whilst you fix that, let me start with Sam. Sam, and this is a common question I'm going to pose to all three of you, and hopefully Ankit should be able to fix this.
It should be fine now.
Okay, great. Okay, anyway, let's start with Sam and then Ankit can come in and I'll take Ralph in. So Sam, tell me, this whole realization of purpose, okay, does it happen like overnight? Or do you really, I just want to really understand, because yours is a 360-degree turn, literally. I know of a time when, if you indulge me and pardon this, I'm sharing this with everyone. There was a time when you used to take away your pet's food from the fridge and eat because you were hungry. And today you're doing everything with pets. So how does it happen? Does it happen overnight? Is it like a thing that happens? Please walk us through in your case particularly, and I'll move to the others thereafter.
So Satyan, what I realized is I started observing myself. And then I saw through observation that what makes me happy, what do I do in my spare time? And I realized that all the books, all the education I'm doing right now should have been about food because I was working with food. But then it was more about animals. So that kind of, it made a spark in my brain that there's something there. But of course, I was afraid because we are afraid to start anything new because of the money issues. And then one day I said that, no, it's not going to make me happy. And I realized that if I can do something on my vacation day happily, that should be my life. And of course, I was well supported and just right people met me at the right time and everything just fell in place. And I said, I'll give myself a little just to feel around. But once I said, okay, I'm never going to do the catering business again. This is what I'm going to do. This is what my life is. Everything changed and we never had to worry about the financial part of it because often when we want to change something, we are worried about finances. But once that deep inside, you know that, no, I want to do this. And then you start your education with it. Then you start your journey with it. Everything falls in place. So yes, it was like, yes, I want to do it. But it just happened. Everything just falls in place, I think, because my vision, my mission was clear in my head. I went once in that place and the owner of that particular forest saw me and actually I was trespassing. But as luck would have it, he didn't even question me. He was happy that, oh, you can do this. You have so many dogs off leash. You are most welcome to come on my land. And I asked him, thank you, but if it's going to be every day, I need to pay you. He said, don't worry about the payment at all. I'm happy somebody's taking care of these things. So it's just that life falls in place because my vision and my mission is very clear in front of me. So things just happen that way.
Really, really amazing.
Okay, guys, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, Satyan, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm really sorry. I've had a terrible issue with the network right now. And I can't seem to be getting my video on. So pardon me for that. And thank you, Ralph and Ankit and Sam for holding fort. I'll try and come back on the screen as soon as I can. So I could fortunately hear from Meher's connected on the as a participant, as an audience, so I could hear what you guys were talking about, and thank you for taking it forward. I just want to quickly check with you guys on one thing is that, there's a point I want to raise that people, when they say that they've found that purpose in changing a career from one to the other, there's a lot of cross doubt that is it because someone's a failure in one industry and they've not been able to succeed and hence they are changing their field and they keep changing their field till they find happiness in that. Do you have any thoughts on that? Let's start with Ankit and move with whoever else can come in after that. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Satyan. I think that's a really interesting question, right? And again, I'm going to be absolutely honest because I think that's the flavor of this conversation. You got to be candid. It does definitely feel like that at the start. I don't think it makes any sense for me to try and show myself as a superhuman and say, no, it doesn't. It does. It does. But I think after the initial couple of experiences, I've definitely come to believe this even more than ever before, that it is only taking you someplace you should be. And I said that, and in fact, you said that as part of my introduction. And the reason I say that is because it's not just about me and my journey, it's about every possible successful and happy person I know, right? They've had similar journeys themselves. From an age where, kids in school were still deciding if they wanted to do commerce or science or arts, every time somebody would ask me in a class 9, what do you want to do? Their expectation obviously would be for me to tell them what I want to do in terms of my class 11, which in Mumbai means, going to college and choosing which stream. My answer would always be hotel management. And they would look at me and saying, but you need to do stuff before you get there. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I'm just telling you where I want to be after that. For somebody to have that kind of conviction at that, and then to kind of reach a point wherein you only happen to, so after a great, education in hospitality, for you to then suddenly just switch gears and, potentially move out in a completely different spectrum like financial services, one would imagine it is a terrible misjudgment of career choice. But not once have people who mattered to me, which primarily are my family members back then, made me. It was always about finding what you're better at, right? And it has been. I mean, I have no reasons to complain whatsoever, because I'm just imagining in a parallel universe, had I kind of continued doing what I started off doing, well, I may have been successful. But again, that's a may. This is for sure, right? I'm absolutely enjoying every bit of it. And that's what I was saying. When everything just centers from what you love to do, what you're good at doing, it's something which, somewhere at the end of that journey helps somebody. It may not be, a large number of people, but helps somebody, improve somebody's life somewhere in doing what they are doing. And finally, it pays you, it helps you pay your bills. I think that's perfect, right? It's not so complicated after all.
Sure. Thanks, Ankit. That was very well said. Thank you. Ralph, you want to weigh in on this about, this whole rigmarole of is someone a failure in one industry and hence keeps jumping till they so-called find their purpose? In your case, it's not been, you've been more or less in the same industry, but there are a lot of people. Just 1 second, Ralph. Sorry, audience, I lost my connectivity and I know there were a couple of questions that popped in. If you could please retype them, I'll be able to take them up again. I thought there was something for Ankit and something else someone else had written. Please write it back again, and my sincere apologies. Yeah, Ralph, go ahead.
Satyan is so right a question that many people fail to get satisfaction and be happy in what they are doing, because people are forced to get into a particular profile or a particular career early in life, and then they keep on jumping. Yeah, that's one thing that happens with many people, saying that they will accept what they got and be happy with what they want. And many people cry and for no option manage to carry on with what they do because they don't have any other choice. I know there are so many people who don't want to do what they want. In fact, I was watching a comedy show yesterday, not to be bad to the engineers, but the entire comedy show was on how engineers are doing what they want, in spite of not liking something. It's just that there are different kinds of people who want to do different kinds of things. But I strongly believe that if a person knows what excites him, that's why I told you in the first set, that you should also bring happiness to yourself. Unless you are happy, unless the doctor is safe and sound and healthy, he cannot treat another patient. Unless your happiness is there, you cannot give happiness to another person. It will just be a put on or a superficial. So unless you enjoy what you do and you get satisfaction out of it, you are not delivering it to 100%. Otherwise, it's a 9 to 5 and a clockwork activity that goes on. So it's very important to take a purpose. But even though we accept something that we like to do, to be very candid, there are things and hurdles that come upon. Like in my case, in my career, I managed a township of about 5,000 people. Believe me, I used to go to office, come back at 5:30, change clothes, go to 3 meetings and come home back at 9 o'clock, because the 5:30 to 9 o'clock meetings were all social. But that was giving me a lot of pleasure. But then when I came back at 9 o'clock, I had to face some grumpy faces. I thought I lost quality time at home. So there is always a balance that you have to trigger. You gain something, you give up something. But if you, at the end of it, you enjoy what you're doing, I think there's no better reward than that. This is what I have to say when I come to, even as a chef. If you give me a minute, I will tell you a small incident.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
35 couples who came to me when I was at the Taj, and they came and said, "Can we have tandoori food?" And they were all from Paris, from France, and they said, "Can we have tandoori food?" So I said, "Yes, of course." And in the afternoon we had a meeting, and they said, "It's very spicy. Can you make it accordingly?" Blah blah blah. So evening we delivered a meal for them, and 70 people in the restaurant, in the Taj restaurant, and we delivered a meal. 70 people had. I'm in a chef coat. I'm in the kitchen. I'm only sending food from the kitchen to the restaurant. And at close to the end of the meal, the restaurant manager came in and said, "Chef, they are wanting you in the restaurant." So I went to the restaurant, and the restaurant, the couple who were leading the team, just thanked me, and within 2 seconds, all the 70 of them stood up and started clapping.
Wow.
I'm telling this, which I remember 30 years ago.
Sure.
So till today, it still gives me and makes my hair stand, because that is something that you want. Even if you have to put all the effort in that heat and the kitchen behind, but what you deliver and what you get at the end of the hardship is something that you remember even after 30 years. 70 people clapping hands together and saying whatever is amazing. That will never be forgotten. I have many incidents like that. So that's the true purpose of it. What everybody should look at is what gives you satisfaction, even if you go through the pain and the hardship. Like the mother making that chicken cutlet and delivering to the dining table. Maybe she would have taken all the pain. But when everybody says, "Wow, mama, the cutlet was superb," that's the reward for the mother. So I think we all should be mothers in our own ways to deliver our cutlets. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Thank you. Fantastic. It's always a pleasure listening to you, and I miss talking to you and spending time with you. Trust me. Okay, I want to come to Sam. Sam, in your love for animals and taking them walking up the mountains, down the streams, etc., and running in with snow, you do come across injuries to them, to yourself, and at times mental strength plays a very important role, right? Particularly for you. How do you balance the mental strength at a time of a crisis, and maybe even fear at times, because you walk and you take them to the unknown areas? You want to share some thoughts on that?
Yes. I think one thing, given with animals, we have to understand that we cannot control all the circumstances. There are going to be challenges, and in each challenge, I think now we grow to the next level. For example, I have lost dogs for 7 to 9 hours on the mountains. And I have a very good support from my clients. I tell them that, okay, this dog is particularly lost because it's a Jack Russell, it wants to find something, so it will go. And then now this is a part where it kind of gets me more thinking, kind of gets me more alive. Okay, what did it pick up the scent? Where is it going? What is it trying to do? And then there's a routine to the animal that, okay, if I leave my car here, will it come back? So yes, there will be a lot of challenges, and I think the deep belief that time is always on your.
Sure. Okay, Ankit, I want to reach out to you guys. Can you hear me? He's talking.
Side, the deep belief is which will come, that's Guinness. So yes.
Yeah.
We can hear you, Satyan.
Okay, I'm really sorry for this, man. My sincere apologies to everyone.
Satyan, we hear you very clearly.
No
Okay,
worries at
great.
all.
Yeah, really sorry. I'm feeling a little bad for everyone and for myself as well. So Ankit, I wanted to kind of touch upon a similar thing with you in terms of mental strength at the time of crisis, and shutting down personal fear, uh, because purely from the fact that when you're in front of a larger audience, you play a very important role in a corporate communication uh, hat that you wear, if I may say so. And there are a lot of fears that I'm sure you have at personal times and otherwise. How do you come across those? And you say no, you keep marching ahead. Do you have some thoughts to share on that?
So that's quite right, Satyan. I think the role does entail a fair amount of risk taking, if you will. And you said two things out there, so I'm going to answer that in two parts. One is in terms of how does one really navigate that moment of freeze resulting out of fear of something probably falling off. Right? I'm a avid cricket lover, and I know with the IPL season on, I think many of us are catching up on that sport. And one sports person who I genuinely look up to, and not because I could play a shot like him, but purely because of his leadership thinking, is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. There's a recent interview where he was talking about how he's basically been given this title of being captain cool, how he doesn't crumble under pressure, and he said something which actually resonates very closely to how I try and navigate through my moments of fear, which is to say that it's not that I don't feel the fear, I don't feel the pressure, or I don't have a moment of nervousness wrecking things inside. All of us do. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying. It is only the ability to quickly mute that voice, the voice of fear from inside, by telling them, if I'm going to be nervous, I'm not going to be able to figure out a solution out of this problem. The only way to do is to make sure you channelize all the possible mental ability that you have to try and figure a solution to a scenario you are in, rather than crumbling under pressure. So that's what I try and do. Again, I'm not going to claim to be superhuman. I do fail at times in being able to follow this formula myself, but I keep at it. That's all that I would say. And just one last bit, which is in terms of how do you eventually march ahead, keep marching ahead. And I'm just going to take that analogy and take it forward. I think the role that I play, right, as a communications person in an organization, I think it's very similar to the role of that one soldier that every battalion has, which in times of war, this person's job is not even to hold a gun up. The only job that this person has, and I'm now taking it back into the times where technology was not as evolved, is for the person to run from one end of the post to the other, carrying forward the message from the commander to all the soldiers. Right? That's pretty much what a communications role is all about in a large organization. You've got the leadership of there driving the organization forward towards a common purpose and goal. But it only becomes common when that is adequately communicated down to every single foot soldier of that organization. And that is the role I play. And I'm tremendously proud of that role, because just imagine a tense battle situation where actually and I don't know what the technical term for this soldier is, but if this person is shot dead, just imagine the communication breakdown in that battalion. And we all know what that could lead to in a war, in a state of war, right? I mean, I hope there's never one, but just an analogy in terms of what I do and why I think that's so possible.
Sure. Okay.
Satyan, you are up?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out if I can come back on the video. So my apologies. I want to pick all your three brains, and we can start with Ralph this time, and then Sam, and then Ankit. I want to understand, how much does salary play an important role in finding happiness? Each one of us can say that I'm happy in what I'm doing and I've found my purpose, but does salary play an important role? And if you were paid, or if someone was paid a higher salary in today's time, especially, will the purpose go for a toss? Do you have some thoughts on that? I'm sure you do, but I'd be happy to hear them. Ralph, Sam, and Ankit.
Chandran, yes, salary plays an important part, very important part, especially when you start growing. Everything doesn't come free, and today there is a reward that requires a carrot that is required for every effort that people do. And generally, human psychology starts comparing, starts putting people at different things. But as long as you're enjoying your job and trying to do the best out of it, you will get satisfaction. But the crack in the China will always be there if you are not meted out what you are justified. Let's say, I'm sure in all corporates, this is a very common thing. When you go for your appraisals, I'm sure all of us have gone through appraisals. Just as a question, who gets 5 rating out of 5 and who gets a 3 rating out of 5 is a question I asked to many of my trainees. And the answer they say, the people who do less work and speak more and can present themselves better get a 5, and the hard workers and the donkeys who put all their effort, he gets a 3. So today is the world of smartness. People who are smart and able to present themselves better. But at the end of it, the donkey also needs its reward. The smart person wants to achieve his or her reward in the smart way they want to. So salary is a kind of benchmark, a kind of important point. If you say there are 4 top things in a corporate career, of the top 4 things, salary will definitely find a place, especially in a corporate. If you're doing a business, if you're on your own, I don't know if you're walking dogs like Sam, how does it apply? But salary definitely means to any employee. He may be the CEO of the company, and generally, I think in all corporates, we see generally the CEO getting raises, not the guys below. So it is a point of concern, and candidly, I'm telling you, there's a lot of lull and roar and a lot of
I get that. Yeah, that's true.
Energy.
Yeah, I mean, for people down the line, for sure, absolutely. And but I would probably want to understand from you guys as individuals, following your own purpose. Ankit, tell me, would you switch your purpose and throw it out of the window for a better paying package? Be honest and candid.
The honest answer to that, Satyan, is no. And I'll probably say that with a lot of confidence straight up, is because I've done that. Right? I mean, I've actually kind of let go of opportunities which could have potentially kind of brought me windfall gains financially. But that would have come at the cost of me trading off things which mattered to me more. The simple example that is just at the start of my hospitality career, I had an option to move to the United States with a very promising career ahead. But that would have meant kind of leaving my parents by themselves, which was not the best thing to do at that point in time, considering certain health scenarios. So that is my purpose. That is core to me. That is way more important than something more materialistic. Not at all to say that money is not important, because even to actually meet and deliver some of your purposes in life, you will need that firepower. You need the money to take you through the finish line. But yeah, not the trade-off worth taking.
Oh, great, thank you for your honesty. Sam, the field that you are in needs a lot of financial backing and support, right? Especially in all that you're doing and all that your company is doing. How do you handle that? And how much does money play an important role in something that you're doing? What if someone can't afford your fees? How much of weightage is that for you to maybe walk the dog or train them? We haven't spoken about a lot of stuff that I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to take couple of minutes hereafter to talk to you about your part of the business. But let's start with this. How important is money for anyone to change their passion and their purpose?
I think today the biggest reinforcer for human beings is money. So we cannot turn a blind eye to it. Even for conservation projects, you need big money. And that's what's running the entire animal life today in this world. Now, if question personally, yes, the first thing personally I've assured is my standard of life, because if I don't have that quality of life, definitely I won't be happy according to my standards, which I've made on me. Then comes the fulfillment part, that yes, some people do not have the necessary funding to take that animal, like I volunteer my time at SPCA, or certain clients which are not that affluent, we can give back. So giving back will be always the second step, but the first step is always, are you being able to sustain yourself? Because without being sustainable, you can't do anything. And it's not just that you have passion, so everything is love and everything is going to come in flowers. No, you have to work for it. So definitely it's a two-edge of the sword. That's my personal thinking. Having said that, working with animals, we have a good quality of life, but definitely I don't have cravings for a lot of finer things, which in other places you might have to have. Like probably in the corporate world, I would have to have a very good looking clothing, attire, or cars or something like that. So that is just difference of who you are and what you are thinking. Have I answered the question?
Yes, pretty much. But I want to stay with you and get a few things off my list and my chest as well, particularly before I seem to be having a very unstable network suddenly. But sorry, Sam, tell me what happens when someone who needs your services, your professional services of you and your company, but really can't afford your fees. Do you get compassionate towards them and their dogs and their animals and give them a discounted fee, or do you stick with your fees, and how do you handle something like that?
Perfect. Let me give you an example just 2 days back, because this happens regularly. I have a call that they have a mastiff, bull mastiff, 7 years old, which is aggressive towards other dogs. And we want to change the behavior. Now, behavior changes don't happen overnight. It's the same thing with human beings. Overnight, I cannot change my behavior. It's just impossible. It's a step-by-step progress. It's a step-by-step reinforcing the right behaviors. So first, I will ask the client, are you really serious about it? Do you want to modify the behavior? Do you want to manage the behavior? The difference, if you want to manage the behavior, you make sure no other dog is outside at that particular time. You put a halty harness and you make sure the dog is restricted. Okay, but the quality of life of the dog is not the same. If you want to modify, we are going to go through the stages, and this is the price you are looking at, because I can guarantee you for this next 6 to 8 months, it's not going to work out. What I want from the client personally is how much are they willing to be involved in. If they are giving their 100%, and you see the client is really up to date with all the step-by-step process, then of course money doesn't make that much of a difference, because as I said, financially we are covered, our company is covered with that. Now what satisfies me is seeing the difference in the animal, difference with the owner, and now we are giving the owner actually the confidence of communication with an animal, and that to me is priceless. So yes, first I want to see the commitment. At first I'll say, this is what's going to cost you. And it's often, once they say yes to it, immediately I know the person is serious, they are committed to the journey. And then the price will definitely, okay, instead of charging you per turn, I'm going to take 3 turns and we are just going to brush through things, and it's going to go smoothly for them. And financially, it will be very less after that. But the commitment is what I want to see.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. That's quite interesting. I'm taking a few questions which have popped in. So I think this is from Hormas Chotia. I think it's probably for you, Sam, and maybe applicable to the others as well. So Hormas is asking, how do you adjust your family life with serving your calling? Would your spouse and kids join in what you are doing? So yeah, I guess if you're in a city life and you are, I mean, your calling is not as drastic as Sam's is, if I may say so. Everyone's spouse will, they're not going to leave you. That's my perception. I think in Sam's case, if I speak for him, has a partner in him who also has the same passion and has the same purpose. But any other thoughts you guys have which might be different from mine? Ralph, Sam, and Ankit. Sam, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. I was single, And I was dating a girl, so I took her for camping. And she said that in the tent, I don't allow dogs to sleep with me in the tent. So I said, in that case, you will bring your own tent and I will bring my own tent. And that's how the camping went. And in short, she's my ex-girlfriend. And my girlfriend now, my fiance, oh my God, she can actually train dogs. Our cat is trained. So it's just that you will find the right person, and it's a part of who I am. You know, I can't take that out of me now.
Yeah, again, thanks. Thanks. I think Ankit and Ralph will agree, and I'm going to just quickly take on. So, Ankit, I found that there's a lady, Priyanka, who's asked this to you. I found it somewhere in this. I think it had moved from one segment to the other. How does one self-motivate in times when perhaps the purpose doesn't remain constant due to changing circumstances surrounding us?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Satyan. I think Priyanka has really hit the nail on the head, especially given the whole COVID scenario in India, right? And it's hit us in different ways actually. I think ways that we probably immediately put our finger to, and actually ways which are more subtle, especially in terms of the whole lockdown environment. I think just in terms of staying on course, right? If I've got that question right, how do you stay on course when situation isn't exactly, the sun's really not out, right? To my mind, it's really just taking some time to pause. Yeah? Because I think that's one thing we're not very good at. We just feel taking a pause is actually show of weakness, demonstrating that you can't keep on. Actually, it's a blunder if you don't pause. Because if you don't pause, you'll eventually have to stop much sooner than we want to, right? So one thing is you take the time, you pause, and you just remind yourselves why in the first place you are on this journey. It could be anything. It could be Sam choosing to quit hospitality and pursuing his passion. It could be, Ralph, running a township, making sure everybody is happy. It could be my job as a communication. Just ask yourselves why you took this turn in the first place, because it's not what you started off doing, right? And I think honestly that's motivation enough. But of course, that coupled with some time off, because I think we are all at the risk of burning out.
Thank you, Ankit. Thanks. Ralph, when I was away, did you, and I'm sorry I'm asking you this, but did you answer Hetes's point by any chance? Or that's there? Okay, great. I'll take it up. Thank you, Hetes. So, Ralph, it's a very interesting thing that Hetes is reminding you to talk about your CSR initiatives at Hazira, especially on the cricket tournament of the specially abled and the Tare Zameen Par movie for the visually challenged kids. And really interesting stuff that you've done, and I really want you to add to this some of the other things that you've done. You spoke about it, but purely from the fact that you want to give happiness, and that's your purpose. I mean, I know you, and you're like really smiling away there. But talk to us about that, please.
Got this opportunity to become the CSR head for the entire SR Steel in Hazira. So we were taking care of 11 villages. And I never knew anything about CSR when I joined CSR. But I had 11 villages that's over about 2. And I was wondering what to do. So I started a few things, which I will tell you as an experience, which will be very interesting for you. So I started this simple thing which everybody does, is a tailoring women. So I used to go to every village, set up a center there, a small building, or take the panchayat office and put tailoring classes. That everybody did. But what I did, after 3 months of every tailoring, village people, I used to give each of these women, buy and give them a dress suit. And I will tell them on the 24th of this month, we will have a fashion show. And who will attend? Your family members and your husbands will come and watch you do the ramp walk, literal ramp walk with disco music running. Only if you stitch your dress, and nobody will stitch the dress in the same pattern. If there are 50 people in the learning tailoring, all the 50 will stitch in a different way, and you will wear the dress and walk it. And if everybody applauds, then only you get a certificate. And believe me, it became a wildfire. All the villages, and at the end of it, I had 3,000 women who were learning tailoring, and some of them got employed, some of them started their own tailoring businesses, some of them got jobs in corporate, some of them became entrepreneurs. The other thing I started was, there was a request which came from me from a handicap society saying that we want to enter a cricket tournament. I said, handicapped and cricket tournament? So no, sir, that is available. So I said, let me take it up with passion. And we formed a team in Surat with people who had one hand deformity, hearing impairment, but they could bowl and bat. And believe me, they could bowl better than the normal human being. It's on the YouTube. All this, what I'm telling you, is on the YouTube. My interviews are there. And we made this Surat team, and I conducted this tournament called the SR Freedom Cup. Freedom Cup. It was there till the last year before last for 10 years. And believe me, we had all parts of Gujarat coming, Saurashtra, 6 teams from 6 different zones of Gujarat coming and playing. And eventually, I had Ajit Wadekar coming as my chief guest. And from the Gujarat team, I'll be happy to share with you, 6 of the players got selected into the national handicap cricket team, which was a great achievement for what we started and what we went about. It got splashed on TV, newspaper, etc., etc., and it made the players really, really amazing. So these are some of the things that I used to go and do. Take up children and take them out for a picnic, the village children, and teach them how vegetable grows. And the happiness was beyond anything. I took a team of people from Azira. We started a class on bakery. We were teaching women bakery classes. I took about 12 women to Bombay, our headquarters in Bombay, Mahalakshmi, and on Women's Day, to an audience of 300 women. These women baked cakes and they did salon training in front of a live audience in a 20-minute span. And believe me, the audience was amazed, and these women, all tears in their eyes, because they had never gone to a metro as big as Bombay, and local village women who really were empowered, enriched, and got motivated, and the word spread around everywhere. In fact, our chairman's daughter, Smriti, had come to the villages hearing all this, and she participated in all this, and it became a beautiful bouquet of offerings that we did. Have you heard that this concept? We showed movies to the blind children. Now you'll ask me how movies to the blind children. Many of you may know, and today all this OTT platform, Netflix, and everybody brings these movies. In those days, 10 years ago, I showed Tare Zameen Par, I think 3 Idiots, to movies to the blind children, where we hired a hall, a movie screen, had 300 children, 500 children from the blind school, and they used to watch movie. They could not see with their eyes, but they used to watch with their ears, because the commentary was throughout the movie. Even a pin dropped, somebody will say, now the pin has dropped. And these children used to enjoy, and where they had to cry, they cried. Where they had to laugh, they laughed. Where they had to shout and cheer aloud, they cheered. And I never watched the movies, always turning the other side to see the excitement on these guys' faces. It was amazing. So Hetes was part of me. Hetes is part of this program. And we did a lot such programs that brought a lot of goodness to people. See, that's passion. Like Ankit just now said, you have to do it to prove yourself, to get what you want at any cost. Sometimes you may have to give up something, but at the end of it, the satisfaction that you get takes you miles and miles away. And I think that's the best feeling anybody can get.
Thank you. Thank you, Hetis, for asking that. And thank you, Ralph, for so passionately sharing this with us. Sam, I want to come to you and understand how important is emotional quotient against intelligence quotient in something that you're doing, and how do you balance that?
I think there is a big part of emotional coercion in working with animals, and that is always going to be there, because finally we are doing things for a better connection. So, but at certain times we have to understand there are limitations. Like, you can't ask a chihuahua to guard a bank. It's not going to be possible. However emotionally charged you are, it's not. So selecting the right tool for the right job is important. And this I have to communicate to my clients, that certain times what you are expecting from your animal is way beyond the animal's probably physical capacity or emotional capacity, or just the entire way the animal's being brought up. But definitely there's a big part of things we do with animals because of the emotions we share with them. And animals are very intelligent, especially dogs, horses, elephants. I think they have much more emotional intelligence than a lot of human beings. So they are very susceptible to things. They are very observant. They feel things, and it's always, you have to have a trust build up before we work with animals.
Sure, thanks. Ankit, I wanted to ask you and this is, to do with your office role. You handle communications, corporate communications, and then at times, and most of the times, as a corporate activity, you would have had to hire a PR agency to take forward something, right? Have there been instances where you and the PR agency have not agreed upon the communication strategy, and how have you handled that? You don't need to name any incident, but what I'm keen to understand is your emotional and intelligent part about the whole scenario. If you could share, say something.
No, I mean, I understand that. And I think disagreement is a big part of a creative process. And I'm extremely proud that the work that I do is hugely creative, which means there is a huge amount of emotional intelligence which comes at play, right? And I think just like any other creative process, healthy challenge only helps drive better results. And when you partner with an agency, right, or even for that matter within your team, I think one thing that you always sign up for when you enter into a partnership is to agree to disagree, right? And again, it just boils down to the fact that as long as there is adequate trust that you and the other person, no matter how distinct your opinions are on a subject, if the purpose for which you are both together is clear and common, I don't think the process matters so much, right? And which is a real scenario. This is not theoretical. This is exactly how it happens. It's almost the same as having a bit of a banter with somebody at home just when deciding the furniture. All you want is a really good-looking, comfortable furniture, and you will end up spending days possibly having quarrels over dinner tables just before you arrive at a common decision, right? Which is exactly what it is in any circumstance.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that perspective. Ralph, I wanted to ask you, you work with a lot of different types of talent, age groups, diversity. You in your personal capacity as a leader that you are, how do you figure out? I know you're not a judgmental person, but there'll be times when you'll need to take some tough calls and say, Satyan's not good at this, but he's better off at this. Sam is good at this. Do you struggle with those kind of things? Because Satyan may think that he's good with finance, but you know that Satyan's not good with finance. And how do you handle that kind of stuff, generically speaking? Have you come across that, and how do you nurture talent?
So this is an everyday issue that comes up, dealing with people of different kinds, right from the lowest level to the highest level. And some of the people who work with me, including Satya and Hitesh, you know what I do. I never go to sleep without resolving or telling a person what he's actually is. So confrontation, communication probably is my strongest tool. I try to confront the person and tell him up his face that, boss, this is what's happening. Take a call or take advice or look at people who can give you advice, but try to correct yourself or change your course or know that you are at this point of vantage that they are at this point of their own problems or they don't retrospect. So communication is the biggest tool that will help. And today, I am not joking. For all my career in the corporate life, because you meet so many number of people, I try to not go to sleep with the mind that I have not told this fellow, I hidden this from this fellow. There is a way that I find out to either communicate directly. In some cases, it can be indirectly because there are sensitive things. But I think communication is the strongest tool. I don't know, Hitesh will agree with me and all my appraisees will agree with me for the past 20 years in my appraisal. If I appraise 20 people in a year, 15 of them generally cry in my appraisal. Cry means cry. Not out of anything else, but make them empowered and tell them what they do and bring an emotional quotient to what they do apart from literal performance or pure performance or professional. So build a lot of empathy in people, and that's why I follow this acronym called PACE. If you see even my present team, we all wear t-shirts called PACE. PACE is what every corporate employer, every leader needs to adopt. It says people, attitude, competence, and empathy. People, attitude, competence, and empathy. If apart from all other things, if a good leader or a good person can adopt PACE, it will take you to great levels, because all of us know by now that attitude is the greatest, but at the same time, competence is greatest. Otherwise, you will never command respect. You will never get the respect that you, respect means, I'm not saying salam sir, normal respect that you should get from anybody around at whatever level you are. And empathy is feeling what the other man feels. It's very important to have these qualities when you're in a profession, when you're in a career, when you're in a corporate life especially.
Thanks. Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, besides dogs and cats and birds and stuff like that, you also work with wild animals, right? Or you have done some work with leopards, if I'm not mistaken.
Cheetah, and my favorite is a rhinoceros. I love the rhinoceros, and it's really sad that there is very few alive. And in Asia, China, Vietnam, Thailand, the government has to do something to stop the horn trade, and they are killing rhinos. Right now, each rhino, to keep it alive, costs in thousands. There are armed bodyguards with one rhino. There's a team. There's a team with a jeep. There are 4 people. And now they bring helicopters, they dart the rhino, they come in, and before even it's dead, they chop and they go out. So it's just, it's too horrible the way we've been turned out, and we need them for the earth to be alive. So sorry, it took a wrong turn.
No, please continue.
And they are very beautiful, gentle to work with, yes. And I would like to eventually get in more hands-on conservation programs.
Sure. So what I wanted to ask you was, whilst you have the domesticated animals that you currently, a majority of your work is with them, eventually you want to get into the conservation part. Is it difficult? You've answered one part of it, but why is it so difficult? Is something that I want to know. There are a lot of corporates who talk about it, a lot of governments who talk about it. Is it just the power of money in terms of smuggling and stuff that happens with animals, or is there something else that we don't know and someone like you know?
It's a lot of bureaucracy, and a lot of now the rhinos are not hunted by the local tribes. No, it's a syndicate. Like they are professional, and they are mostly ex-army corrupt people who are doing things for money. So conservation has not been just going in places and cleaning up, just taking care of animals, making sure of things, fences, etc. It's gone to a next level, because now as a ranger, your life is at threat. The poachers now today will shoot you, and they are very well armed. So it's a whole different ball game today. Of course, bureaucracy with the governments is at the highest, and it takes a longer time. Just to give you a quick example of, and I'll make it very quick though. A few years back, there were only 15 northern white rhinos left in the Congo forest. And the conservationist then, Anthony Lawrence, spoke with the South African government, the Congo government, and the Uganda government to get those to a safer place. All the government said yes, but yet between the bureaucracy, the ball kept on rolling, that I get his permission, get his permission, get his permission. They took years. Finally, he approached the terrorist group there, which was the LRA, Lord's Resistance Army. And the irony of thing is the LRA, that is the Lord's Resistance Army, which is a terrorist group, assured him that no one is going to touch the rhinos in that particular place. So this is the reality of conservation now, that how we are helpless and how we have to go through these channels. And this shouldn't be the case, because in reality, we need the animals alive, not that they need to be alive for the earth to survive. There's a reason why each animal is there. And that is what we have to realize.
Thank you, Sam. Ankit, I want to start with you, and we're just moving to the last leg of our conversation. And millennials today, and I'm not generalizing them, but most of them, their purpose is very different, right? If I may say so. Some of us in our generation didn't even know till very recently what does purpose mean. But the millennials today are very, very purpose driven. They have an opinion. They have very good opinions. Do you think money could change their purpose? Today they are in the comfort of their family owned, parents giving them money, etc., etc. It's easy come, easy go. But tomorrow when they get into real life earning, do you think their passion and their conservative, the whole story about living a purposeful life will go for a toss? Do you have some thoughts on that?
I do, Satyan, and I actually believe the exact opposite, right? And I'll give you a slightly long-winded answer on this one, but something which I read and I actually firmly believe is the case. If I was just to look at my family hierarchy of sorts, right, and if I were to then look at my granddad, theirs was a generation of what I'd like to call, without any disrespect, scarcity. They had to struggle to get their basics in place. But 25 years later, 20 years later, my father's generation was a generation of trying to elevate from the scarcity to the requirements, just as much as you would need for a decent life. Right? And I'm not trying to claim myself to be any younger than I am, but I genuinely believe that the millennials is a generation of abundance. Simple example being, I don't need to worry about trying to put a roof over my head, just in my personal case, right? Which means I do have the financial safety net to ensure that if something is absolutely conflicting my purpose, I do have the financial safety net to actually take what I would otherwise, or what my father would otherwise call as a radical call, right? And that's just, when I say me, I don't mean me personally. I'm just kind of now looking at us as a generation per se. I actually feel the exact opposite, because I think today, somebody walking out of their college into their first job is far more evolved and far more in touch with their inner voice than what potentially even I was when I walked out of college, right? And I think that is what helps bring so much clarity for them, that they're very certain in terms of what they're getting into. And even if, for example, it's a bit of a bad choice that they've made, I don't think there's anything stopping them from course correcting. And I think that's the beauty of this generation. They are so unabashed. And now I'm certainly referring to them as they, because I just had a feeling I'm not as young as I thought I was. So they are just so unabashed about changing their decision if they believe that they've got conviction behind making that change, right? And I think that is amazing, and which is why I feel so charged, so confident about what the tomorrow could look like. And when I'm saying that, I'm meaning more at a macro level for the world, specifically for India, because we are by far, one of the leading countries where youth forms the largest part of our population. And then, bringing it down to the corporate universe of things, just having that kind of determination, the agility, the ability which they bring, which is thinking quick on their feet, and the creative process, it's magical. I just think, for me to be able to work for the next
Ankit?
Is saying, because the young millennials are more clear of what they want to do and their purpose, and they're quick to absorb and look at the deliveries of what they really interest them. Though they fluctuate a lot, but I think they find happiness in everything that they do. I strongly believe with Ankit, and I think he made a very good, valid point that in the future, all of us about 50s will have a better part of career working with the millennials than the past, because there's so much of energy, so much of bubble, so much of fun that's working around with them, and it's really a treat to go with these guys. I agree with Ankit. Satyan, over to you.
Thank you guys. And sorry once again, I seem to be having some fantastic time with the network. Unfortunately today, it happened, for some of you, it happened on season 1, episode 1, and that was my first one, and I freaked. And in fact, today I'm a little more relaxed. But the first 20 minutes on season 1, episode 1, that was on 15th of July. I was like gone, man. I had no clue what was happening. And very happily, like you, the 3 participants were handling it very well. So, thank you for holding fort. And I'm really sorry. Got a bad day on with the technology today. One last point from my side to all of you is, and I don't want to put you on a spot, but do you think your purpose in life could change? Or do you think, each of you, that what you're doing is the ultimate in terms of your purpose and your career change is not going to happen? Or do you think there's a possibility that anything can happen anytime? Ralph?
A very interesting question. There is a possibility things may change, because as we grow older, the world is all looking at different things. But in the core of things, I think one thing for me, I can speak for myself, me reaching out and being with people will be always my purpose and my achievement. But the means and ways of doing it may change in a larger way, may change in a different perspective. Maybe there'll be a total paradigm shift from the career that I'm pursuing to something else. But I will always sought bringing happiness to people wherever I am, right from my little puppy Whiskey in the house to my boss at the office. I think that purpose will continue, but keeping that intact, all other things may change, may have a different paradigm shift.
Ankit, your thoughts on this, and then followed by Sam's?
No, I mean, I said this right at the start, Satyan. So while I've had a fairly checkered career, if you were to look at it that way, I have much later realized that it was always the same thing which got me excited, which was the ability to inform, the ability to influence, and the ability to inspire. And that, to me, the 3 I's form the core of why I love communications, why I love storytelling. I mean, I always say communications is nothing but storytelling. And we all love stories. Right from when we all can only merely babble to today, we all love stories. And so, to answer your question, I think my focus would continue to center around these 3 I's. I might end up doing that in a different format, much like what Ralph was saying. I might just end up doing that in a completely different format. But I don't think this core of it might shift. I don't think so, because I don't think it ever shifted. It was always this.
Sure. Sam?
Yes, I think as Ralph and Ankit put it, it's correct that yes, with time, probably our careers might change, but our purpose is, I think, is defined for me to bring better communication amongst animals and human beings. So definitely it will be an exciting period to discover new ventures, but finally the values and the purpose are going to remain the same.
Thank you for your honesty. So Sam, keep rocking the animal world, keep rocking yourself, keep doing the great job that you are. Ankit, you're a fine communicator. I have just one request. get back to your blogging in a big way. I know you micro blog on Instagram, but I'd love to see a little more longer notes from you. I have enjoyed reading whatever you've been putting up on Instagram. Though I have not done a lot of it, but whatever I have, I'd love to. And I read your blogs on there was in 2016, 2017, you wrote on the restaurant space under the F&B project. I think you should start that maybe once a month. Try that out. I'd love it. We need some honest opinions and from people who know about food. So I'd love to see that part. And Ralph, keep touching lives as you do. Continue doing that. And I wish all of you all the very best. And to the audiences, I won't say it's a suggestion or a request, but try and find your purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, it's okay. As far as you're happy in what you're doing, make that your purpose. But thank you. I've had a great time. Any closing comments from any of you or all of you? This is the time. Very quickly to say a few quick closing comments. Ralph, Ankit, and Sam, before the net plays up with me and I put off everything.
We'll let Ralph go first.
No, Satyan, it was a great sharing. I think I have been doing a lot of seminars professionally, but this is truly a different one. And I'm sure all the people who have been attending this seminar today, the other participants who are there, would have definitely felt a different kind of a gathering today. It was more like heart-to-heart sharing, which I really enjoyed, speaking out what your mind is and not having any aspersions. You think who's sitting in the other side, is there a government guy, or you have to be so careful of what you want to do. So it was really enjoying being on this side and a lot of sharing. I hope I tried to convey some of these incidents that will be a takeaway for people, and the sharing will be there. I look forward to more such sessions. And Satyan, you've been doing so well in all these few candid conversations which I've been watching and I've been seeing around. Keep up the good work. Sam, I really envy what you're doing, and all the best for what you're doing. Ankit, truly nice to listen to you and so clear on your thoughts. I'm so happy. I think that's part of corporate communications as well. But it's really nice to listen to what you've said and so clear. So thanks to all of you, and thanks to all the participants and people who attended this and here to listen to us. Thank you, and keep up the good work, Satyan. Kudos to you and Meher.
Ankit?
No, I can't agree more with Ralph, actually, Satyan. This is, of course, I've followed the series in bits and bobs. I've kind of caught up most of the replays on YouTube, etc. But I think what's amazing is the diverse nature of conversations, right, that take place as part of the series. And true to its nature, these are candid conversations. I can't believe I haven't known Sam or Ralph 90 minutes before now. But I never felt inhibited in sharing my thoughts. And I think hopefully, I was able to kind of maintain the sanctity of the conversation, which is to keep it candid. But once again, thanks really for having me. I definitely know I've got two people that I need to immediately connect with on social media and stay in touch, which is Ralph and Sam. And thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you, Ankit. Sam, all yours, buddy.
Thank you, Satyan. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, Ankit. One of the things we learn in life is from having role models. And for me, each day I'm learning so much from, like today I'm learning from you, Ankit, Ralph, and it inspires us to become better humans, And Satyan, it's that which you're bringing to the society, and that is success to me, because I saw a question that are you successful? And this is the real success, when we can help people attain something inside, So thank you for that, Satyan. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And audience, once again, and Ralph, Ankit, and Sam, thank you for holding fort. Sorry, audience, if I missed a few questions. There are some that have just disappeared and I can't see them. Some I keep popping back, so my apologies, but thank you. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you, guys. Stay safe, be happy, and continue living your purpose. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.